Good afternoon, dear students. How are you today? I hope you are fine. And now we're going to start our online session on IELTS lessons. Welcome to IELTS lessons, and I'm your teacher, Dinara Шаймаханова Д. Okay, before we start our lesson, I want all of you to look at this picture. What is it? Can you guess? Okay. Any more ideas? That's great. Now let's look what it could be. It's a maze. What is maze? Do you know? Okay. A maze is a place where there are a lot of ways, but only one way is the right. And what about IELTS? IELTS task 1 that we're going to study today is a maze, where we're going to find the right way out. So, today we're going to talk about which chart a maze in a graph form. That means that we're going to talk about IELTS task 1 charts. Welcome. The aim of today's lesson is to improve writing skills on IELTS task 1. You will be able to recognize different graphic forms, identify the details of a line chart, and recycle the vocabulary on describing a line chart. Now, let's move on. Let's talk about some types of charts and graphs for IELTS task 1. Do you know any of charts used for IELTS task 1? Any ideas? Okay, that's great. Now let's see. What kind of charts do we have for IELTS task 1? Can you write the names of the charts that are shown on this picture? A, B, C, and D. There are all different charts, but all of them could be used in IELTS task 1. That's great answers. Okay, let's compare your answers with the right one. The first is line chart. Look at the chart itself. You see the line? Yes, and this is the line chart. That's why it's called line chart. The second, picture B, is a bar chart. How many bars can you see here? Yes, there are 5 bars here. And each bar represents a kind of information, so it's called bar chart. The next picture, what does it look like? That's great, it's look like a pie, and it's called pie chart. And the last one, we can also see here bars, but how do we call this chart? A bar chart. That's great, but it could be a different thing. This is a stacked bar chart. By the way, do you know what is the difference between bar chart and stacked bar chart? Yes, you're right. A stacked bar chart can contain several information in one bar. And now let's move on. The next step we're going to do today, in order to do any IELTS task 1, to write and to describe the charts, we need to know some specific vocabulary to do it. Let's look at the following picture. The task for you is the following. You should write the words similar in meaning. They could be either verbs, adjectives, or nouns to describe the line chart, the main thing we're going to do today. So we have here 4 circles. The first, increase, any verbs, adjectives, nouns to this one. The second, decline. The third one, fluctuate. And the fourth, remain. Okay, now you may write your own answers. That's great. And now let's compare. Increase. One of the synonyms for increase is rise. You know what does it mean? To rise, to go up. Or if we use noun or adjective, we can see here be upwards. The upwards trend is a trend that increases. That's right. The next one, decline. The same word to decline is decrease. Can you repeat? Decrease. That's great. And one more synonym, fall. Okay. Now, what about fluctuate? Increase means go up, decrease means go down. What about fluctuate? Yes, when something is not stable. Any synonyms? Good. This word may be a new one for you. Volatility. If something experiences a period of volatility, that means it fluctuates. Volatility. Can you repeat after me? Volatility. That's great. And now let's look at some adjectives to describe fluctuate. Good. To be erratic. To be erratic means to be not stable, to fluctuate, to have some fluctuations, or to experience a period of volatility. That's great. Now let's move on. And the last one, remain stable. The opposite to fluctuate. What about synonyms? To be steady and to remain static. We can also use the word to remain flat, like flat. Okay, now that's great. How many words you can say now without looking at this picture? Excellent. Let's move on. Let's do the following task on the line chart. Now you are going to read and listen to the text below that will appear and look at the charts and graphs from A to D, which will follow the text. Working in pairs, you need to decide which chart interprets the text exactly. So follow me while I am reading for you. Listen, and you may also read the text. You see A, B, C, D charts. Now let's listen. The average number of people attending the museum yearly stood at just under 700,000 at the beginning of 1985. Over the subsequent years, attendance saw a modest rise, followed by a period of volatility. Do you follow me? That's great. Now let's move on. During 1989, the museum suffered a steep decline in the number of visitors as a result of the introduction of voluntary charges. The recovery, fitful at first, lasted through the beginning of 1993, by which time the number of people attending had climbed to a new peak of 750,000. Are you on the right way? Good. Let's move on. In the first half of 1993, the attendance at the museum went into free fall. Do you remember? Nosediving to approximately 300,000 visitors after charging was introduced. Over the next 2 years and a half, the number of people coming to the museum fluctuated widely. The trend, however, was obviously upwards. It was upwards. So, which one will you choose? You can have some more time to look at the whole text and to choose the right chart. Are you ready with your answers? That's great. Now let's compare your answer with mine, and if you're still thinking what answer is right, you will see this is the answer D. And why? Look at the arrows here and braces on the graph that display the words that are highlighted with red. Now you can see why answer D is the correct one. The average number of people attending the museum yearly stood at just under 700,000. Can you see the arrow that shows us? At the beginning of 1985. Over the subsequent years, attendance saw a modest rise. Can you see a modest rise? Very slight, we can't even notice this rise. Followed by a period of volatility. You see the period of volatility, some fluctuations here that are covered by a brace. Good. During 1989, the museum suffered a steep decline. Can you see the decline, the decrease, the fall? Good. In number of visitors as a result of the introduction of voluntary charges. The recovery fitful at first lasted through to the beginning of 1993, by which time the number of people attending had climbed to a new peak of 750,000. Can you see the new peak? The arrow shows us this. In the first half of 1993, attendance at the museum went into free fall. The next brace shows us the free fall, the decrease, nosediving to approximately 300,000 visitors after charging was introduced. Over the next 2 years and a half, the number of people coming to the museum fluctuated wildly. Can you see wild fluctuations? That it was a period of volatility. That's great. The trend, however, was obviously upwards. Where is the trend? Does it go up or go down? That's great. Now you see that the right answer was answer D. Now let's move on. If you're still thinking about how to organize your ideas, now let's look at what information do the axes in the line chart usually show. These are the elements of a line graph. So, can you tell me what kind of information these two axes of line graph or line chart usually show us? Okay, be active please. Try to guess. Excellent. The horizontal line gives the information on year, names of months, days of week, hours, minutes, or even seconds. What about the vertical axis? The vertical, here we can see a lot of different information. For example, price, the number of people, of some scenes, food, and this information usually measured in thousands, millions, hundreds, and so on. Or there could be also percentage, 100%, 5%, and so on. Good. You did great scene right now, and I think it's time for you to do the real task. By the way, do you remember that line chart is kind of maze, and now we're going to be in maze and to find the right way out. Now some information for you to see. This task is called a jumbled maze, and this is the last task for you for today, but one of the main tasks. Your task is to read the text below and look at the graph which follows. You need to work in small groups at this time, and you need to find your way through the maze using the text as a guide. Where do you end up at the end of the period? Point A, point B, point C, or point D? And we will see. Have you managed to find the way out of this maze, the right way out, or you haven't? A maze in a graph form, or a jumbled maze. I will read the text for you. You can follow me and also follow the chart itself. The share price of FF International Ltd soared spectacularly to more than 9 times its value in the first year of the period, before plunging again in the following year, losing more than half its previous gain. The share price then recovered, rising once again fairly steeply in the next 12 months, adding roughly a third of its value, only to fall back by more than the same amount of the next year. Over the next year, the price jumped to just under 100 points short of its 1960 peak. So you should find the 1960 peak. Let's move on. Then, for the space of the year, the share value remained stable. But in the subsequent 3 years, the share price experienced a sharp decline, increasing a speed at the end of the fall to below its value and the beginning of the period. The next movement in the share price was markedly upward, but then it fell back again to end at just over 4 times its value at the beginning of the 60s. And now you see the whole text and the chart for you to decide where is the right information and where is the right way out from the maze. A, B, C, or D. Okay, that's really good answers. Now let's move on. Can you see here a dashed line and answer C? This is the right answer. The right way out is C, but you should look at the dashed line that shows you how was it easy to go out from this maze. Okay, and the very last task for today is just to revise some words that we have studied today. Do you remember a lot of words? Do you remember what is a line chart, a pie chart, a period of volatility, a bar chart, and a stacked bar chart? That's great. But you need to find the odd one out from this task. Okay, that's great. And the right answer was volatility. All 4 answers, line chart, pie chart, bar chart, and stacked bar chart, they represent as the types of graph. But volatility is something that is inside the text when we are exactly describing the graph, any graph. One more odd one out, but this time be very careful. Any ideas? Great. Increase, line chart, volatility, remain stable, and fall. And the right answer was line chart. Good. Very good. So, do you remember any words from today's lesson? Excellent. And now I want to present you your homework. We have studied a lot of things on IELTS Task 1, how to make a chart, a line chart mainly, and how to get out from the maze. What is your task? You should to spend about 20 minutes, and this is the time given to writing Task 1 usually, on this task. You need to write a report for a university lecturer describing the information in the graph below. And you should write at least 150 words. Good. And now I want you to answer these questions to reflect on the lesson. What have we learned today? What have you practiced today? Excellent. Today we learned a lot of things on types of graphs, on different vocabulary, and we practiced them at the same time. And this is a reference list that you need to follow in order to find some more useful information for your IELTS Task 1. Among this literature you can find Sam MacArthur and some links to online resources. Thank you very much for the lesson, and all the materials you can find at moodle.nis.edu.kz site. Thank you very much. See you next session. Goodbye.